wannabe camel owner or simply an adoring camel fan, you're in the right place for some fun, useful and interesting camel talk. This is the Camel Connection podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Tara.
And I'm Russell. Join us here for fun learning about camels, how to care for, train and handle them, plus insider stories and interviews.
And also some interesting stories of our lifestyle with camels, the good, the bad, the ugly and the very funny.
Make sure you've subscribed now so you don't miss out on an episode.
Now, some of these podcasts are an audio take of our video, so be sure to check those out on our blog for lots of how-to visuals and, of course, lots of camels.
This is your one and only go-to podcast, all about camels.
Welcome back to the Camel Connection podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to nurture a camel's natural instincts. So if you're a camel owner or care for camels in one way or another, this podcast is for you. The truth is that we humans take an animal from its wild and natural habitat so we can admire, work with, and get to know and understand them more. For thousands of years, humans have been taming and domesticating wild animals for company or as companions or other practical purposes. The camel is simply no different. The problem of taking a camel or any animal from the wild to domesticated, whether it be first generation or not, is that there's always a slight bit of their wild natural behavior and traits that goes away. It's always human error. And for us, there is this deep underlying feeling that even though we now have domesticated camels and they enjoy our company, we feel a slight bit of guilt still. On our farm, we try our best to keep a bit of the camel's natural instincts intact for the sake of understanding the camel and its psychology, as well as preserving their natural abilities, instincts, and traits. Not only does this make for easier training, yes, and handling, but we believe that it's our duty as the caretakers that we allow the camel to, be a camel. If you're anything like us, you love the camel for being a camel. So you'd want to nurture their natural instincts, right? To maintain their behaviors that made you fall in love with them in the first place. So this is why for us it's important to nurture a camel's natural instincts, because we still want them to be camels. So let's jump into the 3 ways to nurture a camel's natural instincts. So number 1, they need friends. You've heard it before, either from us or other sources, and you know how much we talk about a camel being with another camel or a herd of camels. A camel by nature is a copycat. They learn from their elders regardless of the species, especially baby, like under 2 years old camels. It may seem cute that a camel is copying behaviours of a horse, a cow or a goat, but if we were to be the devil's advocates here, it's not cute, because the camel's natural instincts and behavioural characteristics are slowly diminishing and new ones are being formed. Remember, they're copycats. We've had camels come to us that from a young age we've housed, that they've been housed with other species of animals. The major difference we notice is the confusion of the camel on who they really are, which is on a mental plane, it manifests as behavioural issues, aggressiveness, challenges, and much harder to train and handle. We have a rule on our farm. If we get a camel that has not been housed with another camel, we turn them out amongst our herd of camels for 3 to 6 months, depending on the camel. We don't work with them or handle them for that whole duration of time, but we do observe and see major progress in their learning to be a camel again. it's like they copy the behaviors of the other camels, and they learn their place within the herd. And I tell you, there is nothing more satisfying than seeing a camel be a camel and find their true north, so to speak. So bottom line, camels are to be brought and housed in pairs. This is not a marketing strategy. It comes down to the well-being of the camel, its natural instincts, given that they are a herd animal, and their overall well-being, particularly their mental well-being in this case. They are very sensitive creatures, and their mental state can actually make them sick if they're not feeling happy. So remember, like, they do have the intelligence of a 7-year-old child, emotional and intellectual intelligence. If you've been saving madly for a camel and the right one comes along, but there's no extra cash for that second camel, make it your new camel's prerogative to get another camel friend ASAP. Or buy them in pairs if you can. That's always the best option. But I know it doesn't always work out that way, especially in places like the United States or other countries other than Australia, because, camels are kind of rare. But yeah, Australia, we tend to have more. Okay. Let's look at now number 2, which is enrichment activities for camels. Enrichment with a quote, quote enrichment. Have you heard about enrichment activities for animals? It's usually when an animal is given a hard task to complete, usually in the shape of a man-made toy of sorts. The animal is supposed to play, quote again, with it until a reward is gained. This track of thinking is right for some animals, but camels, they're slightly different. What we see time and time again is that the activities that are given to camels do not support their natural instincts and behaviours. It's no one's fault here. It's just that a camel's psychology can take a while to understand from, the owner or handler perspective, and often trial and error will take place. Been there, hand up. The only way of a camel knowing if trial and error has been detrimental to the camel is when it results in difficult to manage behaviours. Now, it might not be obvious at first, but later down the track, something always comes out eventually. So obviously the goal here is to enrich the camel's natural instincts and behaviours as they would in the wild. So here's some examples of enrichment exercises for camels. Side note here, camels in a large herd or well-replicated domestic environments generally don't need a lot, if any, of these exercises. They keep themselves well entertained. Okay, so handpick trees and shrubs that your camels like to eat and hang them higher than the top of their head so that they have to reach to get to the branches. This supports their natural wild instinct to forage and reach for their food and encourage them to think of intuitive ways to get their food. This is what they would do in the wild and spend all day doing it. And if your camel has other camels with them, they will generally work together as a team to get this yummy food. So if one camel is like slightly an inch taller, that camel will grab the branch, pull it down, and they'll all have a great time. It's amazing to watch. So you can see why having other camels with your camel is also really important too. They just learn off each other. So another alternative is to take your camel for a walk to trees and shrubs that they would like to pick at, explore and forage. They might have a sniff at something, go, yeah, that's no good, walk to the next one. In the wild, studies have shown from tracking wild Australian camels that a camel can and will walk up to 50 kilometres a day just foraging for food and water. So walking and eating at the same time is 100% in the camel's nature, natural instinct. Even in our herd on our farm, we notice that every day the camels, they walk the entire property as they're all free range. We've got all the gates open, and they just do their natural thing, foraging for food, even though they've walked it yesterday. It's an instinctual thing for them to walk and eat. So what not to do? What not to do? Don't give your camels hard task activities, such as balls to play with, in quotes. These are very dangerous. Now, we cover the dangers of this topic in another episode. Also, this include treat balls that have like kibble or other food rewards drop out of them when they're turned the right way. Yes, the camel will keep going and going and going and going until they get the food reward, but it's frustrating for them, and it doesn't support any of their natural instincts whatsoever, doesn't support any of their natural behaviors, because mainly, simply put, they're foragers, they're not hunters. Also, like, it doesn't support their mental well-being. So for a dog, this makes sense because, if a dog's got a treat ball, they're hunters and they're trying to, get their food for the day. But yeah, camels, it just frustrates them more than anything. And it's hard to tell when a camel's frustrated until they do blow their lid. So the important thing to keep in mind is that a camel doesn't need too much entertainment if they are house paddocked in a way that replicates a natural environment, just like I'd said before. And you can go back and see our camel husbandry tips in a couple of other episodes on this blog for more information on that. To give you an idea of an ordinary day of a camel's behaviour, here's what it looks like. This is great. They wake up at sunrise, poop, get up, have a little stretch, pee, soak up the sun for a while, start making way to food, slowly start eating. After a few hours, sit down, chew cud, get up, eat some more, maybe push around buddies a bit just to let them know who's boss, sit down, chew cud, pee, poop some more, and repeat. So you can see that they really aren't playful animals and stuff compared to other animals. They really like their routines. They like their ability to be their natural self. Okay, so number 3 on replicating, or shall I say, the third way to nurture a camel's natural instincts is to use training and handling that the camel understands. A camel that is being trained for the first time will understand what is being asked of them quite quickly because they are very intelligent creatures. Now, training can go 2 ways. First, obviously being that coercive, dominating, and forceful approach. The second way being a trust-building, gentle, persuasive training with an elevation approach. So if you're not getting quick results with your camel, then it's likely that you're not using the language that they understand. Training and handling camels is all about working with the camel, not having the camel work for you. Why? Okay, in herds of camels in the wild and domestic, they work together as a herd. So this method makes complete sense to a camel. But every now and then, when there's always a bully and another camel, there's always a bully in the herd, and another camel is forced to do something that they don't really want to do, but they will do it because they're scared of this camel, and they always live on the verge of fear. And it's in the camel's natural instincts that they are quite a fearful animal. Even though they look proud and regal and things like that, they're always kind of on the verge of a slight panic attack. So you can see that the 2 camel training methods you can see that the 2 camel training and handling methods will work. But one day in the herd, going back to this bully, and when they are much older and more confident, that bully camel will fight back, and they don't care about the consequences. They're old enough and they feel stronger and more capable. And this is why it's so important that you need to be careful be careful on what and how you're teaching your camel. So because one day they could turn, and it has happened. Unfortunately, not necessarily in our environment, but we know that it has happened with other people. So, okay, this is what camels respond to best when training and handling. Respect. Just think of the natural herd environment. There is always a level of respect that one camel has for another. So your job when training and handling is to give them respect that they'll give back, basically. They'll always give it back. If you give respect, they'll give it back. And the next one is work with their strengths. So think about what a camel will do in its own time. They will sit down, walk around. For an untrained camel, you need to build on their strengths so that they can build trust and they feel proud of themselves when they do achieve something, which they do. Other training can come later. That's not a problem. Consistently build on their strengths, especially if they're young and obviously very new at the whole camel human interaction sort of thing. So work with what they're good at: sitting down, standing up, leading or walking around. Now it's over to you. What was your main takeaway from this? And are there some things that you'd like to implement right away with your camel or camels? Head over to our blog, australiancamels.com/blog, and tell us in the comments. That's where the conversation happens around all things camels, and you'll be able to learn from other people too. We love that you're tuning in today, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Hey, did you get value from this or have any questions for us? Head over to our Australian Camels blog to ask your questions or to leave a comment. While you're there, sign up to our email list so you never miss these types of videos, other camel-related blogs, and also special announcements and information which we don't share anywhere else. Once you've signed up, you'll get access to our free camel training videos, information ebooks, and MP3s. So head over to australiancamels.com now to get your goodies.